Welcome to Grit Gravitas with Anne and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Anne Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Annie Carnathan, and this is Grit Gravitas. Let's go! Annie Carnathan. This is going to start out with a laugh. Welcome to our friends, family, and fans to the Grit Gravitas podcast
We're
studio.
a little feisty today.
I know it. It's not even Friday. It's an off day for us to be recording, but we do have fresh flowers in the podcast studio. That's a must. Always the details.
The deets.
So good to see you. We're end of day recording today.
It's fabulous to see you. And even better news, the guests get all of Anne and Annie all the time.
Yes, this is just us.
By design.
So it's always refreshing when we bring new people into the podcast studio, virtually or in person. We love that. And we've had a lot of in person. We're going to crank up those invites to bring them in the studio from out of state as well. So I would say stay tuned for some new exciting podcast guests. But I love picking your brain during podcast sessions.
Abundant today. No slim pickings today. It's abundant today.
And this actually, this is your idea. So I'm going to lead off with you. Introduce what our topic is. And it was something meaningful to you, and it's current, and it's on trend. So let's have at it with talent.
So we're calling, it's been coined the Great Resignation. And I would submit to people that it's the Great Reshuffle. Priorities have shuffled.
Okay.
Aspects of life have absolutely shuffled. And so what does that mean? Our perspective has shuffled. So if you're going to resign a job or you're going to change a job, guess what you have to have? You have to have a resume. And you have to understand, from my point of view, what it means for me when I'm looking at 10, 20, 30, 40.
Do the resumes get to you? I mean, obviously they get to me. We have a much smaller army at Deeter Gallaher Group. For you, leading your army at Universal Media, what is the order? When does a resume get to you? Do they all get to you?
They all get to me through HR. And I think what's critical is how I would approach it, how you would approach it, both from how I want someone to approach it versus being me, and how I perceive how you approach it. And first and foremost, I think, and the easiest thing to see is people who are just sending out massive amounts of resumes. There's nothing customized. There's nothing direct. There's nothing almost that even fits.
So is this going in a portal at Universal? Are they coming through there, or are these coming through email introductions, like directly to you or directly to HR?
So they submit to HR.
Okay.
And then 100% of those come to me or the hiring manager.
Right.
So essentially, I manage department heads, but sometimes if we have multiple positions, which we've had for various reasons, mostly growth over a few years, I will be an interim step.
Okay.
And so I'll say, okay, this is worth sending on, and narrow it. And
so
hopefully
filtering out some
yes,
of that.
and hopefully cut down the time on it. But I think the perspective I have, which I think is interesting and may help someone. So first and foremost, a job description is what? It's really goals and objectives. Mm-hmm. We have a position to hire. Here's who we think would be a great fit, skill set wise, to hire. So if I'm in advertising and I have partners, I'll say, oh, what's the goal and objective of this campaign? And what does success look like? And insofar as here are the requirements, right? That's directional guidance, in my opinion. But taking each single one of those job descriptors and applying it to yourself and saying, here's why I meet, exceed that goal and objective, and here's how I'm going to go one step further.
Well, that's a totally boutique resume, specifically created for the position.
When we're applying it, I'm talking more so in a letter. And there's a dearth of letters anymore, which I think is really interesting. Yes, there's almost zero customization in terms of a letter with anything other than like, here's my resume, right? And so when you think about it, you're essentially putting yourself into the position and saying back to the company recruiting the position, this is why I'm the best fit. Here's why I'm so qualified. Oh, and by the way, here are things I'm going to add to this that you don't even know you need yet.
Right.
Exactly. Now, what does it sound like? It sounds like a salesperson. Right. And
that's why you're comfortable in this.
And everyone's like, Annie, like interviews aren't sales. Like, what? Are you interviewing for a job? I mean, is it a sales? And you're going to hear me always say life is a sales call. It's persuasion.
Yeah.
Ask a puppy or a kid about persuasion and persistence.
It's your biggest sales pitch.
Right. It's a sales call. You know, and by the way, if I make a sales call, it's in the hopes, right, that we work together, right? And there's compensation for that. And a job isn't anything other than we have dollars to pay against a skill set.
Right.
And oftentimes a candidate will sit there and this is who I am. So great. I get what you get, right? But what do I get? And take that last step to say, this is how it benefits the company. This is how it benefits you. So
it's the value I bring.
Right? All these features of what make me and my skill set special, but take one more step and say, here's the benefit to you.
No, totally.
What's in it for me? I get what's in it for you. A salary, health benefits, 401k, paid time off, blah, 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 blah. But what's in it for me? Why is that going to be special for me, the hiring company, right?
So in that application that you're receiving from people, which would be the resume,
right?
I'm not sure are they attaching, is it coming through an email where they get a couple paragraphs of introduction where they say this, you know, I noticed this or was referred by Anne Deeter Gallaher to Universal Media. She recognized my skills, attached is my resume, or I'm uploading it right to your site. I think if the potential hire is able to read your description and put this specific value into the resume of why you need to hire them, in addition to, you know, their competencies in, you know, technology or media strategy or their experience in digital buys, in the mobile world, whatever. And then they add in a value add of what they see you have department X and I have experience in this, you know, X, Y, and Z. I think that's a specific skill set they've added. They've taken time, read through your job description, and obviously did due diligence with the company to add on a personal note like that.
And that's what I find me today in this environment missing is the personalization. If we can send someone a coupon that says, my gosh, Ann, you really like potato chips and you buy a lot of potato chips. Well, we want to sell you more potato chips, right? Because we know you buy potato chips. So, hey, Ann, come on in. We're going to give you this coupon for potato chips, and then we're going to try to sell you something else. So that level, especially given digital and the internet and the research you can do where you're applying and research the person you think is going to be hiring this, although I don't think that's always self-evident. But the first thing I do when someone reaches out to me for anything, for any reason, do you know this? A guest coming in, LinkedIn, right? Who are they? You know, what's their background? What's their story? If in fact you know who's interviewing. My point is there's an enormous amount that can go into a job
that you are not seeing go into
that you
the
really,
resume.
really want.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little flummoxed by that, by almost the sheer tonnage. And I think to myself, do people really want this? Or is
Well,
it?
so why do you think that is? They just is it more of a mass? I've got this list of companies I've noticed on Indeed or wherever, LinkedIn, who need positions filled, or is it not knowing that they should really stop long enough to personalize each individual submission? What do you feel it is?
Think there's an enormous amount of opportunity out there, right? Whether
Okay.
it's really true that employees have the leverage or potential employees. I do think it's an inflated salary market, right?
We just talked about that. Yes.
Yeah. Not to say that it's not justified, warranted. It is a supply and demand even when you're hiring people. So I think it's an interesting conundrum to me, thinking about a career move, change, and when I look at it, I want to see that effort.
Yeah.
The other thing and really this is just like really important to me is stability. And I think everyone has to be.
You mean in your hires, like you and
at
you
a
expect
company.
them, or you desire for them to build a career at Universal?
Yeah, so
And not be
four
leaving-
jobs in 3 years, it's like, oof, right?
Well, that sends a message.
The corporate parlance is
Yeah.
they're a flight risk.
Right.
Job jumper. And so I'll just speak for myself in saying that had I not adhered to that at Universal Media and thought, okay, it's got to be 2 years, right? I would never have had the success anywhere almost.
Right.
Had I not remained there. And I think that's a really interesting practice what you preach tenet when you look back at that. So when now you, who have obviously significantly less employees, would be considering either an intern or a new hire, what would be important things for you looking at it? You're a language artist. Writing is your business. It's really going to be hypercritical for you.
And how they write the resume, how they reach out to me is almost equal weighted with the skill set or the education. The grade point average is, I don't want to say it's inconsequential. I mean, I valued that highly when I was in college, but that's really not on the table unless it's an awful, but if they graduated, so the presentation, and generally people that apply with us, I have seen or have met in the community. And so I get an immediate first impression. So one of my recent interns, who worked out fabulous, but I think I might have shared this in the first or second podcast. She did such due diligence that when I was introduced to her, I was on a panel. She was a student at the time, came up to me knowing full well women in high gear, students in high gear, where my office was, my office in Nashville, my full background. And she said just enough of those hot button conversation pieces that I thought, wow, this young lady is very well researched. She sought out an internship. First wanted to know, did I have an internship available? And if so, could she come and interview? I did not have an internship. I had not publicly advertised that. I created one based on her energy and passion. And I thought we would find a place for her because that's the kind of energy we want in the office. And so it's kind of the reverse of what you're saying. I hadn't advertised for an opportunity, but I'm always open for an opportunity.
You find a place for good people.
Yeah, I do find a place. And you find the money to pay good people. The salary request, sometimes we were talking about this before. One young person had mentioned a salary because her husband thought XYZ. And I was internally thinking shouldn't even be a conversation on the table because we're not hiring the partner or the spouse.
That's a great point. And I think that young lady that you just described was extremely impressive. And if
the
she'll
internship, yes.
And if she'll go to that length to create,
but that's the kind of person we want in the office. They'll do that for the clients then.
Exactly the point. Exactly the point I was going to make.
And she knew that our PR creative world, because that's what we exist on. We're not textbook people. You know, we are, and as you know, through the pandemic, businesses succeeded or failed based on their ability to think outside the box and to disrupt, if you would, as a hat tip to Whitney Johnson, to be able to survive a disruption, surround yourself with people. Okay, we're on a boat that might have a hole in it, and how do we not sink? What's the quickest way to get us back up in full sail again?
And I think another big distinction for me, based solely on my journey and my background, there's a different flair, if you will. There's a different style to interviewing with a very entrepreneurial company versus a corporate established company. There isn't.
We don't have steps. You probably have maybe it's not codified like educators or if you work for the state, you're coming in at steps and 20 years down the road what your salary is going to be.
Exactly.
So in my world, there's no steps. I am totally open. If you create more value, the sky's the limit.
See, that's exactly what I say. No, seriously. And so if it's a referral, like a really quality caliber person, I'm hearing great things about you. I'm hearing great things about Universal. You're here, I'm here. Boom, boom, boom. Great, we have multiple jobs open here, and then
let's see where you can fit on the bus.
Well, what do you think would be good? What? Screeching brakes? Wait, what? I'm supposed to tell you what
you've said that to me. Okay,
like
back that up. We've had this conversation before, and you said you have I want to say distaste. You've mentioned this scenario where someone applying to you is asking you where they should fit, and you're saying this is reversed.
Right. Why is the burden on me? I
think they might be deferring to you in a form of respect. I don't think they're seeing it the way you're.
But not if I don't know them well.
Okay.
Right? How would I know what makes them tick? Right? How would I know what makes them feel?
You don't think they're coming across as malleable? Like I feel like I have skills A, B, and C, but tell me what you need. And I'll respond with, okay, I do have experience in this, or I don't.
So that's the job description, right? That goes back to the beginning and says, here are the skills. So
is this happening in an interview with you? Like, are they saying, or do you mean like in an email exchange or a conversation?
I'm trying to pull up specific instances, and I'm here 12 years now, and
you've sat in a lot of interviews.
It's fast and furious. I have. And my point every single time is to try to say to everyone virtually exactly what you just said. I mean, we don't do that.
Right.
Build that out. Build that into a revenue stream. We're open to anything. And oh, by the way,
well, if you say the words revenue stream in an interview,
is that bad?
No, I'm saying that I would want that person to come to dinner. Like, okay, you're already thinking that individual is way ahead of most people.
No, that's me saying.
Oh,
to
that's
them.
you. So I thought you said they're coming to you, saying I have an idea for a revenue stream. I'm like, okay, you can start tomorrow.
So and you can tell by a resume what makes someone tick, and I can say, hey, this is fabulous. Except we don't do that.
Right.
And so
you
can't come here and be unhappy. If this is
well, they're probably not getting an interview with them. Like if you're seeing an interview and saying this is fabulous, but we don't do this, are they getting an interview with you? Probably not.
Depends who referred them.
Okay.
Depends.
So you're going to say yes to a personal referral.
If you said, Annie, you have to talk to this person, wild horses wouldn't keep me away from talking to that person.
That's special.
You have people you feel the same way about.
Yes.
And I will tell you that one person at a time is what has transformed universal media.
No, good point.
Completely.
Yeah.
Is saying, I'm really good at amplifying what I see people being happy doing and excelling at doing. And we're talking directly from college, from a bank, from the medical field, is that skill is phenomenal here. And then it's the other people, right? And then it's the culture. It's pivoting people from one department to the other. So essentially their heart can sing. So great employee, right? Just in the wrong seat.
Yeah.
And so how do you establish that up front? And the young lady that wanted to be an intern that sits there and says to you, you know what she did, which is brilliant, whether she knew it or not? She goes, Anne, I know what's important to you. Mm-hmm. Those things are important to me too.
Ridiculous research, contagious enthusiasm. I've actually had that twice. 2 interns did that. Came to me doing all their homework, and that's our world is homework. It's research, it's understand. They pitch themselves to me, which is what we do for clients, to the media or to businesses, in all types of media. And they just demonstrated their skill set in doing that.
And there's a transference of energy.
Yeah.
Things in motion stay in motion. And I think we got to keep moving.
Right.
Your body has to keep moving. Our minds and hearts have to keep moving. And that momentum generates more momentum.
Yeah, it does. Totally.
And so people to me that come in after they've done that kind of work, you can't hold them back.
So have you had a situation, talking about momentum and energy, where you said yes to an interview, maybe it was on a referral and you felt, that you owed a person, but the resume didn't light your fire, but then in person, the individual just took it to the next level.
100%. And so as a result of that, I essentially, we don't ever hire a person that hasn't spoken to multiple people within the company, whether it's tenure, whether it's how their onboarding was, how was their training,
so
how was the culture really.
I hope the new interviewees are coming to you with knowledge from the videos that are sitting on your website and saying, I totally align with Ms. Carnathan's message in what she said on her corporate videos.
Some interview just said to me, X amount of months ago, I lose track of time. I watched every single leadership video on your website, and I thought it was very, very compelling that you would put people there in their own words, to talk about the company.
That's the contagion.
That's the story.
Yeah.
We are a media services agency.
You're talking about your culture in those videos. You talk about your history and why it matters to you and how you've adjusted to changing media landscapes, changing business world.
Clearly our story amplified through each individual leader. And they're leading a department, which is really a managed business unit in MBU. They have P&Ls, they have headcount, they have efficiencies, and they have autonomy.
This goes to our conversation many times. People do business with people. I'm not doing business with Universal Media. I'm doing business with you. And that's when you get that kind of a relationship. If this young person or maybe mid-careers is coming in, going through all the leadership videos and like, wow, I don't really get the whole data strategy thing, but I get these people.
Who would get what we do? It's very, very high level tactical media. It's just a very professional white collar service. It's just very specialized. And it's like in acronyms and all this gobbledygook, and we try to sound important, and it's essentially table stakes. If you say, here's a media agency, here's what everything sounds the same, but what isn't the same is our people.
Yeah.
And that's why when someone takes the time to say, I'm not just the skill set you want, I'm the person you want.
Your culture is
that's
what I
exactly
want.
right.
I'm gonna
And
fit
this
in.
is you're not necessarily somebody that I could do business with. You're somebody that really doesn't want to do business without me. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm going to add. And my entire premise as someone trying to help everyone, as a mentor, as a coach, is to clear the obstacles and give them the longest, clearest runway possible to take off.
Yeah, well,
and that's how we're going to keep employees.
You do that,
and as Whitney, I said, you grow or you go, and you.
But you not only do that, you demonstrate that to the employees. Hence the podcast, something totally out of your wheelhouse, totally out of my wheelhouse. The caliber of guests we're having on, the whole disruption, you are demonstrating and modeling that for all the people, especially, the young generation
and our
Z.
leadership videos that you and I conceived of together, that your team executed. It's next level innovation. Yeah. And you are a language artist. You are a master storyteller. Your gifts are never ending. And I thought to myself, nothing about life should be scripted. Nothing about a standard interview question should be scripted. It makes me almost batty. That we can't just, if I'm at a networking event and someone says, here's what I do, I'm more inclined to say, what do you enjoy about it? And if they struggle with that, oh boy, right? That's a question for them, not for me at that point. But I sort of want the life part of it. I don't necessarily want the table stakes. Mm-hmm. And there's an ingenuity behind being unscripted. Yeah. And the confidence of sort of, you and I aren't perfect, right, but we're great. We don't have to be perfect to be great. And we're great. And we're doing this.
Yeah.
Now 36 plus original episodes in. Yay. And solely to help people. Yeah. So that mission and that intent. And my entire point to looking at resumes and meeting, nobody... I mean, there are probably people that like to meet people more than I do, but I'm right there. It's neck and neck, right? And is sort of, I'm interested in the person first. The table stakes and the skill set comes later, but what is that instinct? And how much did you prepare for this time? Yeah. For the FaceTime, right? That's so difficult to get. You don't know if I got 2,000 resumes or I got 2, right? You have to act like I got 2,000.
I know.
Right? So I just think that when we look at this great resignation, it's a reshuffle. All these people aren't going to be able to not work.
Yeah. All
these people aren't going to be able to sort of leave whatever it is behind.
No. And how we work now, coming back to work, we've talked about that. Universal is not... You're not fully back in, or you won't be in your new space.
Hybrid. Yesterday we had the most amount of people, and we have a new office, so everyone's out on the patio with the umbrellas.
I saw that.
Wasn't that a great post?
Love.
It is, and it's the umbrella takes the glare.
Yeah.
The view is spectacular, and this is work from our home work, right? And so I thought it filled me when I just went out to walk a little bit over lunch. I thought, this is what it's all about. You
attract the type of person, and where work has to matter. Like you're hiring an individual, you're providing jobs, you're affecting full families, next generations with opportunities to work. And I don't take that for granted. Whether you hire one person or 10 new people, think of the impact not only in the economy, but the individual's life by coming to work, offering work for purpose, the opportunity to change a company's success by your digital placements. It isn't just a behind the screen, we're just going to plug and play here. You guys have to research, what do we want where do we want this grocer to be seen? Or where do we want this healthcare company? Why does this matter what they do? And, we have a budget and we're going to plug them in, but it matters because you you're passionate about community health and you want access to food and the best company. You want people to find the best companies to buy their groceries from. So it is purposeful work.
And you just closed the loop, right? And so to sort of start it at the end, to close the loop on the beginning is if they don't care about the interview, to do
research.
And really it's just sort of
find your story.
Yeah. You're one of many, and I'm just really hoping to land something that's close to what I want to make or did make. And so no, that's where I think it begins of how that will look down the road. And just like that.
Do we get enough business vitamins?
Business vitamin is be prepared and care as much as the person hiring.
But do your research. That sounds
for sure.
trite. I mean, we did that, coming through Shippensburg University, State College at the time. But that doesn't go out of style. For whatever interview, even if it's, coming through a virtual setting or an online setting, following it up with an email and just giving a little bit more about your story and why you would be a good fit, why you would value working at Universal Deeter Gallaher Group. So don't forget the personal touch in that digital relationship either.
The human connection.
Yeah, there we go. Annie Carnathan, that went fast. I think we were full of some nuggets.
Oh, totally. Totally.
Okay, cheers to another High Gear week, and excited to revisit our conversations.
See you soon.
Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a High Gear day.